last 5 years or so, the notion of equity versus equality has gone from activist circles to mainstream. This last year or two, there has also been considerable pushback against this notion of equity, together with diversity and inclusion. Now, frequently, the distinction between equity and equality is presented with a series of images. The first shows 3 people, a tall person, an average person, and a short person, next to a wall. All 3 are trying to look over the wall, but only the tall person can see. The others are just too short. Now, equality is described in the next picture, with all 3 individuals receiving a box to stand on. Each gets the same sized box. And now the average person can see over the fence with ease, but the other 2 have issues. The tall person can see, just like they could before. But now they're balancing on a box they don't need, and their neck is getting stiff from being in a strange position, or they're trying to stand behind the box and not be able to see as well. The short person, meanwhile, still cannot see. They're still just too short. With equity, the average person still gets 1 box. The tall person does not get any. They don't need them. And the short person gets 2 boxes. Now everyone can see. Everyone has what they need, but those needs are different. And those differences are recognized, accepted, and accommodated. Now, this notion of equity is frequently presented as a new concept, something circulating in progressive circles only in the past few years. And with this understanding, equity is purely secular. Not only that, it is frequently portrayed in less progressive circles as being a prelude to socialism and communism. But the reality is, throughout the scriptures, Greek and Hebrew, Christian and Jewish, the notion of equity, explicitly and implicitly, is behind God's actions in the world and our calling as children of God. Frequently, as with the boxes in the scriptures, equity is presented as being about what each person should have to live out their lives to the fullest. There is also a flip side to equity. The phrase, "to whom much is given, much is required," is frequently associated with Spider-Man. But it actually comes from the Gospel of Luke, and it is a flip side of equity that we see in today's readings. Not only should those without what they need to meet their basic needs and to reach their full potential be provided for, but it is a duty, not just a nice thing to do, for those with the means and abilities to do the providing. What we have is not meant to be hoarded, but rather it is meant to be shared. In the gospel, this comes through in this notion of sacrifice and the calling to take up one's cross. So often this saying of Jesus to take up one's cross and follow after Jesus is understood and really misunderstood to mean that we all have burdens in our lives. We have disabilities, poverty, addictions, and pain, and we are meant to just suffer through them. But this is not really what Jesus is saying. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that these are not realities that many of us have to deal with. My hands and legs do not always work right. There are times that I drop things. My joints don't bend. I'm in such pain that I cannot walk upstairs to get to bed. And addictions and poverties are certainly realities that many of us face as well. But these are not the crosses that Jesus is telling us to take up and carry after him. Rather, it is our gifts, those things that make us unique, that which we could turn to our own advantage, our blessings that we are meant to see as our crosses. We are meant to be living our lives in service to one another. To see these gifts as just that, gifts from God to share, not something we earned or deserved, and not something we can hoard. It is under this understanding that is further elaborated upon in the second reading today. And it's an admonishment of leaders and teachers that they need to make sure that they understand the importance of their words. Teachers and leaders are given skills as leaders and teachers by God to guide others, to show them God's ways, to uplift their followers, to offer corrections, but to do so always from a place of love. These talents can be used to hurt others and turn followers away from the path of righteousness as well. Same tongue that can preach hope, faith, and love can be used to preach fear, distrust, and hatred as well. It is for this misuse of talents, of gifts, and of our circumstances in the world to live selfishly for which the scriptures offers the most severe judgment. And it's for this reason that we are meant to see those parts of our realities, those gifts and circumstances that provide us an advantage in this world, as our crosses to bear. We're called upon to see the abundance in a world that presumes scarcity. We are called to use our privileges, the inequities that work to our advantage, the places in our lives that we are like that tall person standing at the wall to bring equity to all. Amen.